Welcome to Family Basics 101. I'm Dr. Bruce McClure, and as we continue our 5-part series on family memorials, today we will talk specifically about memorials and the emotions that are attached to every memorial that families deal with. Emotions, as defined by the Webster Dictionary, is the something and the sometimes not so conscious mental reaction that is subjectively experienced by some level of feelings ranging from mild to oftentimes strong that are typically manifested physiologically and behaviorally in the body. The absence of emotions creates a major danger. So emotions are healthy, but when there's a complete absence or a very nominal presence of emotions, that creates an environment that is potentially dangerous. It has a lack of empathy, a lack of remorse, a callousness, an arrogancy about it, a self-centeredness, an aggressiveness, a dishonest demeanor, and it also leads to irresponsibility. When we talk about the word psyche, the soul, the mind, but when we look at the word pathos, a suffering or disease, we're talking about a psychopathic person. That basically says that is an individual void of emotions. Therefore, that individual has a lack of empathy, a lack of remorse, a callousness, an arrogancy, a selfishness, an aggression, a dishonest response to what's going on around them, and an irresponsibility which communicates the irresponsibility will also move into how one responds to what is going on in the environment and in the lives of those around them. According to Oatley and Jenkins in 1992 publication, emotions are communications to others as well as to self. According to Plutnik in a 1993 article, emotions have specific adaptive functions for an individual that must be filtered through the inference of the individual experiencing the emotion rather than the observer. Emotions are based upon the person's cognition, and it reveals the individual's attitudes and emotions and their motivations. So when you look at emotions and you bridge that with memorials, basically what Oatley and Jenkins or Plutnik would agree on is that one must be able not to see how the memorial impacts the observer, but rather understand how the memorial is impacting the person who is closest to the memorial. In essence, I have to see how the memorial is impacting you emotionally, rather than me having a clarity of how it is impacting me. I must be able to put myself into your shoes and walk with you into your memorial to understand your emotional response to the memorial or the stimuli, as we spoke on yesterday. According to Rogers and Lipper, emotions become a positive enhancement that motivates the goal direction of an organism. Now, the positive enhancement is not to be confused with whether the goal is good or evil. Rather, it is to be understood that emotions are the enhancement. It is the drive that pushes a person in a direction. Now, what direction that memorial pushes a person into can be either good or it can be evil. Emotions organize memories, and it moves an individual into persistence toward objectives which might be realistic or they may be unrealistic. It may be obsessive, or it may be something that is really healthy in terms of moving people toward a better placement in life. But keep in mind that the emotions that are triggered because of the memorials can move a person to do better in life. It can also cause a person to be stuck. Oftentimes when an individual is grieving, if they are grieving too long, they are probably stuck. And that emotion of grief, that emotion of pain, will not be healthy for the future of the individual. But if that emotion of grief causes a person to be more resolved, to be more active in life, to be more godly in life, to be more productive in life, then that emotion becomes positive in a healthy direction. The primary emotions are joy and interest, a positive interest, surprise, disgust, fear, contempt, shame. And when we look at those primary emotions, most people have the ability to move the spectrum of all of the emotions. Not always joyful, not always interested, not always surprised, not living always in a place of disgust, not always in a place of fear, not always in a place of contempt, nor living always in a place of shame. But when we have memorials in our lives, the stimuli that brings up that vast spectrum of different emotions, and we have a balance of those emotions of joy, we're interested in life. We're interested in those things that make life meaningful. We enjoy some of the good surprises, but we also acknowledge that there are some surprises in life that will throw you for a loop. There are some disgusts. There are some things that we just deplore. There are some things that we're uncertain about. There are some things that really trigger the worst in us. And there are things that will cause us to blush, the shame. But all of these are emotions that are triggered by some type stimuli or memorial. In the book of Matthew chapter 9, verse number 36, but when Jesus saw the multitude, he was moved with compassion on them because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. You see the emotion of interest in the people. You see the emotion of being concerned about the welfare of people, being triggered by what Jesus observed. In the book of John, chapter 11, verses 32 through 36, then when Mary was come where Jesus was and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying unto him, Lord, if thou had been here, my brother had not died. When Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews weeping, which came with her, he groaned in the spirit and was troubled, and said, Where have you laid him? They said unto him, Lord, come and see. And Jesus wept. Now watch the response. The Jews said, Behold how he loved him. Jesus was able to show emotion with the people that was stimulated by the memorial of seeing Lazarus' death and seeing how they responded to his death. Memorials and emotions, they are healthy to help us grow and to be attached to the pains of others. I'll see you back in class again tomorrow. Don't be late and don't skip class.